If it's blue, if it's gooey, if it's green, don't use it. So the reason why the blue goo is blue is because there's actually pigments in ultraviolet light, so UV brighteners, classic chemicals that under artificial light creates like a hue. There used to be like, black lights in a club and people would like glow in the dark. Their white shirts would be like purple. Well, that's actually because that black light is picking up UV brighteners in the clothes. So those chemicals in very small dosages are very, very potent directly into your dermis, the largest organ in your body.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 46 of the Clean Kitchen podcast. Today, we have the founder of Truly Free, Stephen Ezell. And if you don't know what Truly Free is, it is a non-toxic cleaning brand. They have a ton of different products ranging from laundry detergent to dishwasher cleaner to hand soap. They have basically everything you would ever need for non-toxic cleaning. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the Clean Kitchen podcast.
Yeah. Really excited for this conversation, guys.
I love it. So I discovered Truly Free a few months ago. I was at Expo West in Anaheim, California, and there were a few other influencers and creators there, and they all were telling me about Truly Free. Like, have you tried Truly Free yet? It's the best non-toxic cleaning product I've ever used. I'm like, all right, a lot of people are telling me about this. I'm going to try it out. So I messaged you guys. You guys sent me some product. And I have to say, I am absolutely loving it. So I was like, I need to figure out who's behind this amazing product. And so I'm super excited to talk to you today about this and hear a little bit more of your story. And I'd love for you to start just, what kind of got you into health and nutrition maybe in the first place, and also the origin story of Truly Free.
Yeah, no doubt. So story started for me almost 17 years ago. I've got 5 kids, but when my firstborn son was like a 3-week-old, like little shrimp, he was like, days old. I was in charge of one of his first baths, and I was getting him undressed. He was like, screaming bloody murder. And here I was thinking like, he just didn't like me. I started getting him undressed, and from his neck down to his ankles, it looked like I dunked him in boiling water. And I as a first time dad, I was like in full on freak out mode. And any parents of multiple kids could tell, like, when your first kid, like everything's like this really big deal. Now, like if everyone's breathing and nobody's bleeding, it's fine, right? But like when it's your first kid, it's a really big deal. So I called my wife over because I was like, man, this looks scary. And my wife's a NICU nurse, so she's used to like, working on sick kids. And when I saw her freak out, like, okay, we lost it, like bundled them up. Went to the pediatrician to the dermatologist on the way to the pharmacy, and my aunt, who's very much a naturally minded, person, who in our family was always considered like the quack of the family, right? Would forage for medicine in the woods, etc. Called and asked me a question that changed my life. He says, what are you using for laundry detergent? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm using the big, bright, bottle that grandma always used, right? And the blue bottle that grandma always used, fabric softener. And she says, no, you can't use that because that can actually make kids sick. And I was so obtuse, guys. Like, I was like, how can laundry detergent make a kid sick? This is silly talk. She goes, no, because of these chemicals and the kids can have allergic reactions. So before you because they prescribed like Amy a bunch of stuff because she was breastfeeding. So it was like, give her antibiotics and this and that, prophylactically antibiotics, and him all these chemicals. And she said, well, before you do all that, like she gave me this homemade concoction, get borax and vinegar and go in the bathtub and make this thing and strip his clothes and then just see what happens tomorrow before you start giving him steroids. And he's like, he's almost 3 weeks old. So we did, and the next day he was fine. And that was kind of like my aha moment, right? Of like, what the heck is in my laundry room? What's under the kitchen sink? So I became like a full-blown eco-conspiracy theorist 17 years ago, like everything and then organic and non-GMO. And I used to be the weird guy reading labels and et cetera. And I was in the restaurant business in New York City, and we left New York City, moved to Michigan, and I met this grandma selling laundry soap at the farmer's market, loved the product. And she was looking for an investor. That was 2012. And, I said, hey, let's give this thing a go. So our early years, we pivoted a lot failed at everything we tried. 2015, I saw what was happening online, and we knew we had a message, and we failed at everything else. And we pioneered refillable cleaning products. And the brand was called My Greenfills at the time. We changed our name to Truly Free 5 years ago now. And we've been on this mission. It started off with 3 people, we literally have in our museum here, the original concrete mixer from Harbor Freight. We used to mix soap. I used to drive the orders to the post office in the back of the car. And, now hundreds of employees and,
Wow.
one of the largest eco non-toxic brands in the country. And, so we pioneered refillable non-toxic cleaning products. And, we believe in a truly free home and telling the truth. And, we've just enjoyed an incredible ride, and now freeing hundreds of thousands of homes every single month with a sustainable, refillable, non-toxic cleaning products. So we started off in laundry, and then step by step have kind of democratized the whole home. Starting with laundry, and now we've seemingly replaced 90+% of everything in a home that has typically been very toxic with a safer and effective, because having something that is eco but doesn't work doesn't actually solve the problem for the consumer. So we've always been, in our DNA, being on a cutting edge of green chemistry, and been a movement. So we started off with one refillable laundry jug, and now millions later, and hundreds of thousands of families. It's been a journey.
Yeah. Sounds like it. If a lot of people ask me if there's one swap you can make in the house. I always tell people laundry detergent, because
no doubt,
which I've heard you talk about this before on another podcast. It's always on you. Your clothes, you're washing your clothes in laundry detergent. That's on you. Your bed sheets, blankets, everything. It's always touching you. So it's so important. What are some of the culprits, like the ingredients in your average conventional laundry detergent that was maybe causing your son problems, and also causing thousands of other people problems? Like, what should people look out for?
There's a few. So I'm not a very good businessman, because if I was good at business, I would take the industry practice, and that's hide our formulations and our ingredients behind veils of fragrance loopholes and trademark loopholes. But I'm a really bad businessman where we publish all of our ingredients, hoping that our competitors steal our formulas. Again, not very good business, but it's more of a moral obligation. So here are some of the things that you got to look out for, right? If somebody doesn't list their ingredients and they hide it behind things like fragrance or a blend of proprietary surfactants, which are the bubble makers, blends of proprietary this, and it's legal, right? I know you guys are really passionate about food and nutrition, which is awesome, but there's a lot of regulation with the USDA of what you could put on a label. But in the chemical industry, we have shipped millions of products. We ship millions of things every month, and no one's ever walked through our doors to validate that what we put in a label is telling the truth. So it's a very, very unregulated industry. So if somebody's not being transparent, don't vote with your dollars there. There are some brands that are doing some really cool things. As far as ingredients, if they do disclose them, most don't. So here's a couple things. If it's blue, if it's gooey, if it's green, don't use it. So the reason why, the blue goo is blue, is because there's actually pigments in ultraviolet light, so UV brighteners. So there's a class of chemicals that under artificial light, LED, fluorescent lighting, it creates a hue. I don't know if you guys know that, back there used to be black lights in a club, discos for our parents, right? And people would glow in the dark, right? And their white shirts would be purple. Well, that's actually because that black light is picking up UV brighteners in the clothes. So those chemicals in very small dosages are very, very potent. Actually, if we buy Chinese-made, foreign-made textiles, polyesters and fabrics, they're actually sprayed with UV brighteners before they leave the factory, so that when they're in the store, it has the optical illusion of their clothes being brighter. So that's one. If it's blue, these chemicals are engineered to leave a blue film on your clothes to trick your eyes into believing that your clothes are brighter than they really are. And that's like directly into your dermis, the largest organ in your body.
Yeah.
Next is fragrance and parfum. Again, we're one of the weird people that list all of the ingredients of our fragrance, right? Which is a blend of essential oils and plant-based fragrance oils in our laundry. Some of our products are exclusively essential oils. And the reason being is there's this loophole in the United States Patent and Trademark Office that if you have a product that has an ingredient that's under 1% concentration, the final ingredient, you have no legal contractual obligation to the consumer to disclose the product. You can loop it all under this idea, this classification called fragrance or parfum. The challenge is in that's a very, very lascivious industry where you may have something that smells like absolute toxic sewage in its raw form, but if it's blended with some oil or in parts per million, it may smell like hazelnuts. Mm-hmm. And the companies don't have to tell you what fragrances and perfumes that they're putting on you. And some of them are documented carcinogens. So there's another one. The next thing is when you see an E in ethoxylated or ester. So years ago, there was this main chemical that's, SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, is a very popular chemical. I mean, I could buy it by tanker, right? It's one of the most largely produced surfactants, cleaning agents. It's derived from coconut oil. And a bunch of crunchy mamas got behind it. The EWG used to list it as a 1, as a non-toxic surfactant. Then a bunch of, Google moms got all fired up about SLS as being this really toxic ingredient. And then EWG changed their tune. And then for a period of time, they listed the ethoxylated version, sodium lauryl ester or ethyl sulfate, as the safer alternative. When you see that E, that means that ingredient is ethoxylated. And in the ethoxylation process, the main byproduct of that process is 1,4-dioxane, which is a class 1 carcinogen. So there's a lot of ingredients that, so you get to the dish soaps, SLS, SLES is in toothpaste. There's actually, between, the sodium lauryl sulfates, Triton, these really commodity surfactants, they're even in medicines and vaccines, like crazy stuff. So, so you got to be careful on the surfactants. You got to be careful on UV brighteners. And if people don't disclose the ingredients and it's thick and viscous and gooey, they're designed to leave a film on your clothes, and you don't want that on you or your kids. Anyway, that's a long-winded answer, but there you go.
Yeah, it's amazing. You almost have to be a chemist to understand what some of these ingredients are and how they might impact your body, which is a bit scary because 99% of people are not that, and they don't have time to study all of this. They have to kind of take companies at face value and understand what they're saying. I think that's one thing we focused on a lot here, especially in the food industry, is how many marketing terms are out there that food companies will use to
it's natural chicken.
Yeah.
What's wrong with natural chicken?
Exactly. To deceive customers and consumers of their products. Are there similar marketing terms in the household cleaning space that consumers should be on the lookout for that don't really mean what they think they do?
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of terms because we don't need to, right? But what our industry, kind of has is greenwashing, right? Yeah. So you have this whole label that has a green leaf on it. And since it has a green leaf on it, it must be eco-friendly. So I'm going to charge double because it's eco. And biodegradable is such a misnomer in, the cleaning space because, in the chemical industry, for years, there's this phrase that says, the answer to pollution is dilution. Mm-hmm. That, in its raw state, this may be very toxic, but when you water it down, it's not that bad. And what happens in our industry, right, is, these chemicals, since they're heavily diluted, right, you're putting, 2-3 ounces of laundry detergent into a 10, 20, 30 gallon washer, depending on the style washing machine you have. And that gets rinsed away. Yeah, it's biodegradable because it's in such, low concentrations, but all that stuff is bioaccumulative, right? So you have all these chemicals that just accumulate over time. They build residue on your fabrics. They build residue on your washing machines. They build residue and water treatment plants. They destroy the biome of a healthy septic system. So, these chemicals are pretty nasty, pretty gross.
Yeah. I want to quickly go back to that blue stuff, because when I always saw like colored laundry detergent and colored dish soap and things like that, I always just thought it was artificial colors. Is that not the case, or is that what that blue stuff is?
Yeah, so certain things. So, like for example, in dish soap, right, the leading dish soap that's blue, that's not a UV brightener. That's actually a dye. Okay. So that's a pigment. And again, because you think about it, like, people think like it's blue and it's thick and it's gooey, that it must be super concentrated and super efficacious. It's really not, right? Yeah. These, mainstream dishwasher detergents, similar to ours, right? They're 90% water. It's 80% water. So what they do, you add thickening agents to trick the consumer to believe that their product is super concentrated. It's 3x, it's 5x, it's 10x strength. Yeah, it's just 10. Like, again, you make soup and you have, you add cornstarch, you got this really thick soup. No, you just got, bland soup with cornstarch. So like the same principle applies in the chemical industry. So that a lot of that thick, viscous stuff is not because the product is super concentrated. It's just because it's been thickened. Yeah. And the reason for the dyes, again, it's strictly for optical illusion that the product has extraordinary efficacy. 95% of all the raw ingredients that you could buy for cleaning agents are clear or off-white or pale yellow. Period. The end. There are no blue or green or pink like ingredients. Mm-hmm. So those are all dyes that are added specifically to trick the user.
Gotcha. Do you know anything about the kind of the history of these cleaning products? Like when did these become, like, I guess, when did we start using all these weird ingredients like fragrance and these different colors and everything? When did it become popular?
So this really came out of the petrochemical oil boom, post 30s, 40s, post World War II. As we became very industrialized and very dependent on petrochemicals. Everybody thinks like, a barrel of oil, it's all about gas in a car, right? But the gasoline that shows up, or even, unrefined diesel that, we put in trucks, represent less than 10% of the use of oil, right? There's the plastics industry, huge, like such a huge demand side for petrochemicals. So now, in the distillation process of gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, plastics, you have all you need, there's extreme chemistry that goes into all of that manufacturing of petrochemicals. And then, so we have the pharmaceutical industry post-Schlesinger report, which was heavily dependent on the petrochemical industry as for pharmaceuticals. And then, so here's the science, the basic science of cleaning. So our ancestors, when they made soap, somebody shot a bear. They were at the campfire after butchering the bear, and they had this whole pile of fat. And they rendered down the fat, and they took the ash outside of the campfire, which is a caustic material, and they rendered that fat down with this caustic material. The process called soaponification makes soap. And oils attract oil. So the oils that are in soap attract the oils off your body or off of fabrics. So that process of cleaning through making soap, now they leverage the oils that came out of petrochemical distillation of the Industrial Revolution. And like, what do we do with all this freaking stuff, right? Like, we're using it to fuel cars and trains and planes, and not so much planes at that time, but fueling the Industrial Revolution. Now, what do we do with all these byproducts? And they started making cleaning agents, and then you had and out of that they created the mechanism called the soap opera, right? Mm. So Procter and Gamble, brilliant guys, brilliant marketers. I'd like to think that their intentions were very benevolent. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll meet him on the other side of life, but don't know. takeaway message is, like, they created a really phenomenal content marketing machine. Like, you guys are podcasters creating content. Well, they created content. It was called a soap opera. And their products were predominantly displayed as, persuasive selling in the soap opera. So it started with the Industrial Revolution, as what do we do with these, very cheap, inexpensive byproducts of petrochemical manufacturing? And then an entire industry emerged out of it.
Wow. That's amazing. I've never heard that story before. It's amazing to hear where we started, where we are now, maybe even taking that and looking more recent past. You've been in this for 10 plus years now, working in the clean, non-toxic kind of health and household cleaning products. How have you seen it change over the last 10 years? Are people becoming more health conscious to this type of stuff?
I think that, like many things in society, it's becoming very polarized. So the chemical industry in the last 15 years has gotten even more toxic. So you've got like this, it's almost like the parting of the Red Sea, right? You've got this complete chasm between the conventional world and the eco world, right? And the eco world is dominated by a very, very small group of people. We're fortunate now to be one of those leaders, but we weren't always, right? We came up from nothing. But what's happened in consumer sentiment is really fascinating, guys. So again, we think about the soap opera, 70s, brilliant marketers, Procter & Gamble, right? Dwight, Clark's company, massive, brilliant marketing, brands. And they wanted to find out, what did consumers want? She, right? That predominantly is the mom. What does she want? And that's why the soap opera catered to the mom. While husband's out to work, she's watching the soap opera and she's buying the products that are sold, through the soap opera. So what does she want? And after, all of those studies in the 70s, early 80s, what they found that she wanted was brighter whites and brighter brights and whiter whites. And that was the marketing message of the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s was, the two sheets flopping in the wind. Ours brighter, ours is whiter. Ours gets out this stain, that one gets out that stain. Ours is softer and, cuddly and yours is brittle. And that was like what she wanted. But that's really not what she wanted. What she wanted was to believe that our clothes were cleaner, but she couldn't articulate it. So same companies, new study, early 2000s, instead of a bunch of focus grouping and surveys, they literally hired some, social psychologists and demographers. Like, what does she really want? And what it distilled down to, no pun intended, is that she wanted fragrance. She wanted her clothes to smell good. And then the industry really shifted in the last decade from brighter brights and whiter whites to the smell of springtime fairy farts, right? Like, this is the best smelling laundry. And then you have like the addition of all these scent boosters and these little beadlets and all these other things that came in industry. And that stuff is wicked dangerous. Right. So the industry has gotten, that side of the industry has gotten even more toxic because now it's about fragrance. It's not just about cleaning clothes and whiter whites and brighter brights. Now it's about a sensory experience. And we don't have to tell you what we're putting on your back. So that side of the industry has gotten really crazy. And then the other side, like on our side of the industry, right, there's been a lot of innovation and we've always been on the cutting edge of innovation. And what's cool, right, is now there's a growing population of people that are taking a stand against that stuff and voting wiser with their dollars. And now, like that whole business adage, like the first guy through the door usually gets shot. And that was me. Like, I was the weird guy 15 years ago saying you don't need plastic but once and this and that. And he's like, oh, well, he must be this granola crunching Subaru driver. I was like, no, I drive a pickup truck and I really don't care for granola. But I do believe the world needs to be a better place and a safer place and non-toxic. And, it would break my heart to see a truly free bottle floating in the ocean. Mm-hmm. So we took a stand against it. Now we're the cool kids, right? Now we've got the notoriety and, Today Show, MSNBC, and, national this and national that. But it's only taken us 15 years to be an overnight success. And now, we're paving the way for innovation, which is really awesome. And certainly the industry needs it.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like, you guys have stepped up as a major player in this space. a place that people can trust, I think is one of the biggest things. When you know you're ordering something from Truly Free, you know that it was thoughtfully created. It's not going to harm you, and you can really rely on what you're putting on your body, which I think is crucial. But Truly Free does much more than laundry detergent. I know we focused a little bit on that in the beginning. Kyle outlined all of the other products that you have. Do you see those other products just as toxic as the laundry room, or are those a little bit better?
Yeah. So, to me, like Kyle mentioned when we first started, to me, I believe the most toxic, place in the house is the laundry room, is laundry soap. Now, from an acute toxicity perspective, kind of say, if you grab like an aerosol-based oven cleaner, right, that melts grease away through solvents and alkalis and just really nasty stuff. And how often do you just, spray yourself with oven cleaner? Well, if you're like a normal human being, you don't do that, right? And if you're abnormal and did that, you're on your way to the hospital with chemical burns. So, but we wear, if you're using the store-bought Blue Goo, you're wearing those laundry chemicals all damn day, and so are your kids. So, to me, like that's the most toxic place, But now you get to some of the, really heavy grease cutters and, kitchen cleaning and get rid of soap scum in the bathroom, and you start dealing with, acidic-based products like we use citric acid versus some of the more, versus the toxic stuff. Start dealing with high caustic, high alkali chemicals like that, those solvents and solvent-based things. We don't use that stuff. So it's been a real challenge for us. Like, hey, how do you perform as good or better? Because she cares, right? She wants to protect her kids, but she also wants the oven clean, and she doesn't want to spend 7 hours doing it. Mm-hmm. So, how do we provide, our family member with the best experience while protecting their family? And it's really flipping hard. If vinegar did everything, we'd be out of business, right? But vinegar and baking soda doesn't do the job. So, we've always been pushing the envelope of, green chemistry and innovation. It starts with laundry and literally every other place in the house. You just got to systematically, one by one, replace everything with a safer, non-toxic alternative, but you don't have to. As you could afford it and as you run out of stuff or however you feel led, systematically work your way. But I do believe it's got to start in the laundry room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I tell people the same thing when it comes to food or personal care products or cleaning products. Make these changes one at a time. It can be so overwhelming if you try to do everything at once. So one at a time is definitely the way to go. So you talked about laundry detergent, but something else that I've heard the ingredients are not so good, and I personally don't know a lot about it, but I've heard they're not so good, is the dryer sheets that we use. Can you, wide-eyed, can you talk a little bit about dryer sheets?
Yeah, so there's a couple. I want to drill down on a couple categories. Let's drill down on dryer sheets. Let's drill down on cleaning dishes. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So dryer sheets. There's been a lot of innovation, even in the other guys, because of thought leaders like you guys that are like exposing the truth and change. Listen, the free market is beautiful, right? That's literally why we have a parallel economy. Maybe we'll talk about truly free market later, but when people vote with their dollars, businesses care about that, right? So, the reason why organic spinach is the same price or cheaper now than its chemically rated and genetically modified cousin is not because a bunch of farmers became philanthropists, right? It's because a bunch of people voted with their dollars, and big agriculture had to figure out how to pivot, or these hippies are going to eat their lunch, pun intended. So the same thing in lawn. So there's been some innovation. A lot of the toxic stuff has been coming out of dryer sheets, but for years, like the leading dryer sheet had 14 documented carcinogens. That's not to mention the stuff that's undocumented that you don't know about, that they don't have to tell you about, right? And why? Oh, because we don't want static cling. Well, how does static get there? Oh, it's because of the laundry detergent chemicals that you're putting on the fabric. So it's like, what's worse, the disease or the cure? Well, how about this? If we create the disease, we can also create the cure. It's very lucrative.
Yeah.
So, people really, when you switch to products like Truly Free, you really don't even need to worry about static, because we're not adding all of that petrochemically charged, ionically charged chemistry into the fabrics that you have to worry about getting it out. So dryer sheets are wicked. I mean, you have all these viral videos of, oh, we can, use dryer sheets to get rid of mice in your camper or your boat. Well, why?
Yeah.
Like, why is it a good mouse repellent?
Yeah.
You think mice are stupid? Right? Or like, oh, you could throw it in this grease-laden pan and it'll like release all of the, caked on grease on your pan. Well, you want that stuff on, and again, it's not getting diluted. Like you put a dryer sheet in the dryer, it's not like the answer to pollution is dilution. It ain't rinsing away. It's getting put on your body. So that is a wicked product. So that class of products is pretty wicked. We came up with an alternative. We call it Dryer Angels. Actually, the most favorite product we've ever created. It's a dryer sheet alternative. I don't know. Do I have one here? I don't know. I should probably have a better display here. I don't do. But, you can check it out, Dryer Angels. It's a dryer sheet alternative. It's a hand-sewn product in the form of an angel. It has a dress. Inside the dress, you have a refillable sachet. It's corn cob material, dried corn cobs impregnated with essential oils. You throw that in the dryer, fluffs up your clothes. But that one product is a real ministry project for us. We fund an entire deaf village in Jamaica. We have 12 full-time women in Jamaica that hand-sew Dryer Angels. Years ago, they couldn't keep up with our hyper growth. So then, we started rescuing trafficked women out of Southeast Asia. They get liberated, freed from slavery. They get taught a new identity. They're freed in Christ. And then they get sustainable jobs sewing Dryer Angels. So we have rescued almost 400 women from the throes of trafficking and slavery just through that one dryer sheet alternative. So there's one, right? So there's dryer sheets.
Good
wicked
for you.
Stuff, stay away, boof. There's a reason why it repels mice. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then another category, and I know you guys, talk a lot about food and nutrition in the kitchen, is dish, right? So when you buy those pods, like in the pads and all these different things, the little dots on them, whatever colored gels, you throw those tablets inside the dishwasher. One, they're full of microplastics. Like those films, like degrade down to plastics. And they do not get rinsed away, right? These chemicals are engineered to leave a clear film on your glasses, on your plates, on your coffee mug so that you get that squeaky clean. And the challenge is that when you make your favorite organic, non-mycotoxin, single origin, fair trade coffee, and you put it in a coffee mug that's been cleaned with a conventional dish detergent, you're literally drinking dish soap. Like you are rehydrating those flipping chemicals and you're drinking them in. So how's your organic coffee now? So, actually what came up, we spent years. So laundry is really freaking hard to figure out, being eco, doing the job, getting stains out of clothes, really freaking hard in an eco way. And warewashing, dishwasher is also really hard. We figured it out. It's actually become, so our automatic dishwasher soap, it's a powder with a scoop, has become our number 2 product over the years. And we don't even really, it's not like we market people, like acquire them to come and, buy traffic and, on dishwasher soap. But when people try our dishwasher soap, it's like one of our greatest retention products because it just works so well. There's been so much innovation to get that product there. So, dish soap, dishwasher soap, woof. I mean, those chemicals are designed to leave, think of it. You grab your glass out of the cupboard, fill up a glass of water, and you see that little ring of bubbles. Yeah. I mean, you're drinking the stuff, right? And so are your kids. So, so there you go.
Yeah. I kid you not. I was talking to my mom this morning, and the first time I posted about Truly Free, maybe a month or two ago, she was like, all right, I got to try this, because she always loves trying these non-toxic cleaning products that I talk about. And she just started using your dishwasher detergent. And she said, this is better than the conventional stuff that she used to use years ago. So I understand why it's a bestseller and why people are coming back.
I don't know. Again, we literally package tens of thousands of pounds of that product every week now. It's been awesome to see the growth of that product and the education to the consumer, right? Like, who would have thought, right? Like, you're drinking drinking these chemicals in, like we're wearing these chemicals, we're drinking these chemicals in, like, it's just wild. So in this information age, like, people want to be educated. And so it's been, It's been a ride, and excited to see that, consumer sentiment has changed. Guys like you that are like switching up paradigms and teaching people and equipping people, right? It's like good on you, and, good on the people that are listening to this.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like people have more power than they ever have, probably because information is more available than it's ever been before. I hear you talking about these types of products and the chemicals and how it can impact people. And it's very obvious to hear the passion in your voice. We talked about your origin story here and how you ended up in this spot. But did you ever imagine that you'd be running Truly Free or a company like Truly Free? Was that ever in your mind when you were growing up?
Oof. Let's get real. Let's go deep, man. So, listen, I've always felt in the core of my being that I was called for a very big purpose. And I was the weird guy, right? I was always the weird kid that believed like the world could change with one crazy, amazing idea. And, I was in the restaurant business. I built almost 50 restaurants in New York City. I had a very, very successful, illustrious career in the restaurant business in New York City, building restaurants for Food Network stars. I would have lost my marriage because of it. And then, moved to Michigan, kind of hit the reset button back in 2010. And I just felt like, God called me to like be a conscious capitalist, right? It used to be called triple net investing, it's good for business, good for the, the environment, good for humanity. And, we started this creed, this code. Right now is our tiles all over our products. And we're very blatant. Like we believe that no child should be sacrificed or trafficked. We believe that people should be free, right? We believe in love and cooperate. And so we take a stand for like freedom in every sense of the imagination. And, so Truly Free has been my baby, right? Started off again, just three of us, concrete mixer, a laptop. I didn't know anything about web, how to teach, how to build websites, write code, write copy, do video production. We had no money when I started this business. Like we're on food stamps. Like I put my wife through torture on this entrepreneur journey. And now with our new startup, Truly Free Market, I believe like that's my calling. I believe that Truly Free Home is my baby, and it was, such an amazing, and still is, this amazing purpose, mission-driven organization that is just creating change in a category that just needed to be changed. And now we've had our sights set on, empowering small businesses, building a decentralized economy, and empowering small businesses to scale and grow and just change the world. And I think, Truly Free Market is like it's a calling for me. And I believe that the world needs a better place to buy and sell and exchange ideas. And so we built our own free speech social platform. We built our own marketplace. We built our own digital currency. Like it's a parallel economy where, we're not going to steal data and private label products and sell it to a higher bidder or to ourselves. Like we want to empower a free economy, right? I believe in true capitalism, not in this crony capitalist nonsense that we find ourselves in today, where some very influential people that are well capitalized can pay for votes in Congress. Like I don't believe in that nonsense. I don't believe that's capitalism. And so we're taking a stand against that too. So, what started off with a really complicated problem, right? Plastic floating in the ocean and toxic chemicals on kids' back has become a very simple solution. Refillable, non-toxic cleaning products. Duh. And now, we're facing a new giant, right? That there are some, really bad actors that are hurting small businesses on Front Street USA. So we're taking a stand against that too. We're in beta. We just launched this thing. We've already sold millions of dollars in products. We just rescued 3 small businesses from insolvency because, it's hard to grow a business these days. It's hard to get your message out there, on social media. So we decided to do something about it. And, 4 years of dreaming and 3 years of building, and Truly Free Market's live. And, we feel like that's the future of commerce and communication. So that's a really big question, Kevin. I'm one of the really fortunate guys that I wake up every day, work real hard, but I, tap dance into work every day, right? Like I'm called for a higher purpose, and I'm I'm going to take my last breath on this planet knowing that I tried my best to leave it better than I found it.
Yeah. I appreciate your answer. I appreciate you answering it honestly and real. Definitely came through. And I think the Truly Free Market is amazing. Maybe just for anyone that's never heard of it, do you mind giving a little bit more background on what it exactly is?
Imagine, you can be watching a cooking show, right? The Clean Kitchen cooking show.
Yeah.
And with one click, let's say you guys are showing, hey, here's how to make this, organic, gluten-free cookie, right? And with one click, the user can add all those ingredients to cart. So we literally just published our app to the iOS store a week ago, which is a brand new Truly Free Market. You can go to the iOS store. Android gets launched next week. And so, the challenge for a small business is how do you, build a relationship with a customer? And how does a customer develop a relationship with a small business? And how does a content creator, a thought leader, build an alternative and not have to fight with all of these different algorithms? And if you have an alternative view on health or wellness or nutrition or freedom, and you're being put in a certain box where you can't get your message out on mainstream platforms, what if there was a really free speech platform that allowed people, thought leaders, to build a bigger influence and monetize their community, monetize their that influence in a transparent way, right? And where consumers like us, us on Main Street USA that need to buy groceries, buy stuff, could do so in a way where they're rewarded with real-time currency. So we built our own digital currency, and we share 1% of our gross receipts in real time with all of our customers. So we take 1% of our gross revenue and we share it with every single customer in real time in digital currency. They refer a friend, they get 5% of all their friends' purchases for 6 months in digital currency, right? They shop, and if a small business wants to incentivize, instead of discounting and couponing their products, which is tough, and that's the race to the bottom, what if you can reward your customer to vote with you by incentivizing them with more currency? So we've reinvented commerce. So so when somebody joins, they buy something at Truly Free Market, they get a share of the company. So before I ever take $1 profit, which I haven't yet, I'm already sharing my profits that I don't even have yet with our members in real time in digital currency. Why? Because I believe the world needs a better, more transparent place to buy, sell, trade, and exchange ideas. So, how do you do that without handing out and violating people's privacy and handing out email addresses and phone numbers? Well, we built our own social platform, right? Where now you and a small business and thought leaders and content creators and even users alike can create content, build a fan base, build friends, and, give them amazing deals and offers. Right? Because if you sell on other big marketplaces like the one in the South American jungle, you have no relationship with the customer, right? And you have all these hidden fees and data, people stealing data or selling that data to other people. It's a wicked crazy, and it's starting to get exposed now, and we're at the bleeding edge of it. But I'm excited for the future, guys. I think there's a true Main Street world awakening to all of this crony nonsense. And we're at the tip of the spear right now. And we just launched this thing. And I'm very grateful. Truly Free Home is just growing with incredible velocity. And now, we get to launch this decentralized social commerce engine. And everybody's like, oh, Stephen, good on you. No, this is not about me. Right? I want to cheer you guys on. I want to cheer the small business guy on. There's a local butcher shop here in Traverse City, launched a store in Truly Free Market. We saved them from going out of business. There's a great brand. I don't want to mention these there's testimonials coming. I don't want to shout them out like that, but there was a couple small, amazing, organic, not really awesome brands that are struggling because it's really hard to grow these days. And we've just saved them in the last 3 weeks, right, in beta. So we've already shipped millions of dollars in products just in testing it just to our fan base. We're just now opening this up to content creators and affiliate and partners and referrals. And just in beta, we're already medicine to small business. And I tell you, I am fired freaking up, right? Because we're going to just change the game for so many people. So it started off with, a simple solution to a very complicated chemical problem is now a movement. And, we're looking at a very complicated, economic problem, inflation, wallet share going down. Everybody that's listening to this, you are being taxed. You are so heavily taxed. And I'm not talking about sales tax. I'm not talking about W-2 or I-9 or income tax or Social Security tax. I'm talking about inflation. Like our wallet share is being eroded without anybody's permission. So we said, what if we did something about it? What if there was a company that literally made consumers on the inside, and we're not consumers, we're now participants. We're on the inside looking out. So we're deciding to share revenue with customers. We're the first, I don't even know if another business does this. So I'm fired up. I think the future is bright, and I think the world needs a better place. So we're building it.
That's amazing. I love that. It's taking Truly Free to the next level here through the market, and taking what Truly Free has, which is great distribution, and giving it the voice to others that might not have that.
And we've got experience, right? So now we can help, teach and empower from a place of experience these great small businesses. Hey, if you there's some landmines over there. Trust me, I stepped on them, so don't do that. Like, there's a better way. So we're, taking our learnings and our experience and democratizing that for other great small businesses.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sure that's been taking up a lot of your time recently. But I'm curious: is there anything new that's exciting you that you've been learning about, or that you've been doing? Business related or non-business related. I'm curious.
Well, I'm constantly. Well, I haven't had TV for 14 years, so
wow.
I'm constantly a sponge. So I don't allow anybody to rent space in my mind. So I'm constantly expanding and learning. So I think on the business side, I'm constantly pressuring myself and our leadership to push how we recruit and grow our teams, since we're hiring at such a blistering fast pace. So, we've been, employing some really interesting recruitment strategies in the business that I think is really fascinating, and really just getting surrounded with some just amazing talent. So I would say, just shooting from the hip, recruitment is probably some new stuff that we're doing in the business, in the companies, that is really exciting. On the personal side, we're building a fully sustainable permaculture farm. We're moving into our new house this summer. So I've got, greenhouses and a permaculture farm that we're standing up in the middle of all of this stuff. So I'm learning a lot about permaculture.
What is that? I'm not familiar with that.
So permaculture is like a 365 way to grow food. There's some really amazing thought leaders like Joel Salatin. I would say was probably like one of the main guys in that space. Me and the kids, we read all of his books. So we're all about, I want my children, because we homeschool all 5 of our children, how they can be, connected to our food, and honor the food that God gave us, because we've literally participated in creating it, or harvesting it. So on the personal side, we've been on this kind of permaculture kick for the last year and change at the Ezell homestead. And, on the corporate side, it's just been, how do you sustainably grow, right? Yeah. With velocity, where you don't have to go crazy into debt and raise a bunch of money to lose money, right? To go get bought. Like, trying to do it different.
Yeah. Good for you. I love everything you're doing. And that's very cool with the permaculture. I'll have to look into that.
That's a new one. Yeah. Homesteading I've heard of. So is that what you're currently doing? And permaculture is like the next version of it?
So homesteading could be lots of things to lots of people. But permaculture is a way to, again, make sure that our soil, which is our most valuable resource, stays whole. We have bees, and, so we're worried, making sure that our bees are good, so that, our orchard gets pollinated properly, so our gardens get pollinated properly. And so it's just a 365 look at incorporating different plants and animals, so that you have a completely sustainable culture on your property.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. I have a discount code for 50 free loads, I believe, which also comes with the starter kit of everything you would need. I'll leave all that information in the description for everyone listening. But Stephen, is there anything else you want to say or point people in the direction of, wherever you want to point them?
Yeah. So obviously, we gave you guys an amazing offer for your community. If you've listened this far to me yak about, changing the world, you deserve an amazing opportunity and offered it to join Truly Free. So, we're hooking you guys up with an exclusive deal. So click the link and follow that link over so we can support this great channel and get you a deal that's not available anywhere else. My parting thought is, listen, we're in an election year in the United States. There's going to be a lot of propaganda of who you should vote for. And I think that's all BS for the most part. Really, the vote that matters is the dollar in your wallet. So vote wisely, right? We make micro votes hundreds of times a day. Vote wisely with the dollars, with the businesses, the brands, the small businesses that help the world live a better place, right? So vote wisely with your dollars. And what will happen is that industries will pivot. They have no choice, right? They're going to follow your dollars. So the wiser you vote, you will affect large-scale change, even if it's only on the candy bar that you buy or whatever that small thing is. Just vote wisely with the dollars, and the world will change because of you.
I love it. Stephen, thank you so much.
All right. Hey, guys, you're doing amazing work. Keep it up.
Appreciate you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you all.